Dan and I were missionaries to Sierra Leone and Nigeria. We both assumed we would be there for 30 years and retire. That was not the way it worked out for us. From the age of 13, I knew I wanted to be a missionary. I just knew that's what I wanted to be. And so, when I began dating, I looked for people who were headed to the mission field. Well, Dan grew up on the mission field, and around high school really sought to see, is this where God is leading him back? And Dan and I found each other, and we were headed to the mission field. Dan fit like a hand in a glove. He just liked working hand in hand with the Nationals. He was just a people person and communicated on all levels really well and loved to help. We just feel very blessed to have been given that opportunity. We spent almost 5 years in Nigeria and the 3 years in Sierra Leone. And it was a great time for us. We never would have left there willingly. The Lord had to pick us up and move us in circumstances that we couldn't argue with. And that was Dan's dad's illness. Somebody needed to come home to take care of Dan's folks, not thinking that Dan's dad would survive this bout at all. But he did, and survived very well. I mean, bounced back to almost 100% after, and lived well for 3 years. You know, as the kids got older, we thought, well, once the kids have graduated and they're on their own, then we could go back. And it was always go back. But Dan's father passed away in 1999, and 3 weeks after the funeral, Dan had a diagnosis of metastatic colon cancer, already spread to the liver. And he was 42. So then your life stops and your plans change, and you seek the Lord, because there's no way to survive otherwise. This journey takes you to a crisis of your belief in many, many ways. And one way was, although I never put it in words, when we began this journey, I felt like we had hit a great big detour out of God's will. And yes, you do go through an identity crisis when you've been a missionary for all these, not so many years, I mean not 20, 30 years, but a lot of years for us. And now you're not a missionary. I remember my kids saying, we're not special anymore. It is an identity crisis, and I felt like we had come to a detour. And although I never said that out loud too much, I don't know if I ever said it out loud. Of course, the Holy Spirit knew exactly what I was thinking, and eventually, not so long afterwards, brought me to the realization that I was not on a detour. God had always seen this from the beginning, but He'd only given me light enough for the next step. I was still on the same path. I was still in the will of God. I was still following after Him. It just looked different than I thought it would look. We just remembered the 10th anniversary of Dan's death this October. And there was deep sorrow and deep hurting, but laughter and joy and stories and love, and God has brought us much joy in submission, in opening 100% to God. Now you have to show me the way. You've got to show me the way. You have to show me how ask the right questions for these kids and say the right things when they're hurting. And you don't even know. I was in a fog for 2 years. I was in a fog. I remember waking up and thinking, wow, I need to stop just existing and now start moving forward. I need to start seeing, who am I now? Who am I? I'm not that married person. I'm not that single person I was before. It's right to mourn a person that loved you and was a good husband and father. That's right. It's good. But life doesn't stop. I learned that right away. My life seemed to stop, but everybody else's kept going. And I realized when I woke up from that fog that my life had to keep going too. But the Lord has brought so many beautiful things into my life. Would I have my husband back in place of them? Probably. But that wasn't God's plan. And I'm okay with that.